Hello there. Our first topic is all about metacognition. Last meeting, I told you to answer the metacognition tool posted in our Google Classroom. Today, we are going to evaluate your scores. But before that, here's our objectives for this lesson. First one is to explain metacognition in your own words. Second one is to apply metacognitive strategies in your own quests for learning as a novice or an expert learner. At this juncture, I want you to have with you your answered metacognition tool. This will be a reference for scoring. Here, let's begin. The 6 parts of the questionnaire pertain to the following aspects of study habits. The first one is motivation. Part 2 is organizing and planning your work. Part 3 is working with others, utilizing resources and feedback. Part 4 is managing schoolwork stress. And Part 5 is note-taking and reading. Part 6 is preparing an assignment or project. Let's talk first about the Part 1, which is motivation. For scores from 55 to 80, you do not appear to have many problems in getting down to work and keeping to it. Again, you have to add your scores in each part. So, kung yung score mo naman is 35 to 50, you sometimes get down to work, but you can be distracted. You might not always be certain why you are having to work. And for scores of 30 and below, you really do have problems in getting down to work. The part 2 of the questionnaire is all about organizing and planning your work. So for scores from 70 to 100, you are well organized and plan ahead of work. For those na yung scores are from 46 to 65, you are not well organized as you could be. And for scores of 35 and below, you have little organization, constantly doing things at the least minute. For the part 3 naman, the set of questionnaire entails working with others and utilizing resources and feedback. 10 is for always, you give 5 for sometimes and 0 for never. So these scoring applies in all the questionnaires from part 1 until the end. So yun. So for the scores from 55 to 85, you make full use of resources available. And for those who got scores from 35 to 50, you probably collect resources, but you need to ask yourself how you're going to use them more effectively. And for scores 35 and below, there are important resources around that you are ignoring. For the part 4, you're managing schoolwork stress. For those who got scores from 65 to 80, although you sometimes get stressed and worried, you have the skills of knowing how to minimize problems and look after yourself. For those who got scores from 40 to 65, you handled your anxieties and concerns moderately, but could develop skills to manage them more effectively. And for scores 35 and under, you are likely to get overwhelmed with your problems. For the part 5, we have here reading and note. Again, you give 10 for always, 5 for sometimes, and 0 for never. So if you get a total of 75 to 100, you prepare well. and read efficiently, learning as you go, and scores from 45 to 70. Your reading and note-taking skills are adequate, but could be improved. Para naman dun sa yung scores is 40 and below, your notes are likely to be of little use to you, if they exist at all. So Port 6 is all about preparing an assignment and project. For those who got scores from 70 to 100, your essays are well thought out, researched, and clearly written. For those naman who got 40 to 65, there is room for improvement, although you do demonstrate some skills. And for those who got the scores of 35 and below, you probably wonder why your essays always get such low marks. Congratulations for those who got high scores, just keep it up. And for those who got low scores, help yourselves and always remember that there's always a room for improvement. So what you just did while answering the questionnaire and analyzing your scores is an exercise in metacognition. You stopped for a moment and thought about how you study and learn. You were reminded of your strengths and weaknesses. Then, you wrote what it is that you can do to improve your study habits. Hopefully, this will help you start to learn more effectively. I want you to read with me this quotation. If you teach a person what to learn, you are preparing that person for the past. And if you teach a person how to learn, you are preparing that person for the future. And that is according to Cyril Hole. Let's always remember, guys, that the most important goal of education is to teach students how to learn on their own. And this quotation stresses this. It is vital that students acquire the skills how to learn, and that these skills enable them to learn not just while they are in school, but for a lifetime. This entails a deeper awareness of how one processes information, the ability to evaluate his own thinking, and to think of ways to make his own learning process more effective. All of this involves metacognition. But what is metacognition? Before we expound the word metacognition, let's talk first about cognition. Pag sinabi natin cognition, sabihin mo cognition. Say it again, cognition. Pag sinabing cognition, that is a way of thinking. Also, a process through which we acquire knowledge and skills. And also, it is our thought process. It is our thought process because that is responsible for our attention, perception, memory, language, reasoning, problem solving, and other cognitive functions. You are capable of learning because of your ability to utilize our cognition. So again, pag sinabi natin cognition, it is your way of thinking, it is your process to acquire knowledge and skills, and your thought process. If you're going to utilize this, you are using cognition. Okay na gets? So, ayun na nga. Pag sinabi natin cognition, it is when you utilize your thought process, your way of thinking, and you acquire knowledge and skills. On the other hand, what is metacognition? So this appears to be such a high-sounding word that some people are confused about, even before they actually spend time to find out what it really means. So it is not at all that complicated actually, guys. In fact, We do metacognitive activities so often in our daily lives. For instance, pag na-sense mo that you are experiencing some difficulties with the topic that you are studying, and you try different strategies to learn better, you are actually practicing metacognition. The word may be long and seems to be so intangible, but it is worth focusing on because it can help you to be a more successful learner. When you become a teacher, it can also help your students to learn more effectively and efficiently. So, when we say metacognition, it is your awareness of your own thought process and you are thinking about thinking. So, tandaan nyo to guys. Thinking about thinking or nag-iisip ka tungkol sa iyong pag-iisip. Like you are, iniisip mo kung ano yung iniisip mo. And you are learning how to learn. So, yun. Inaalam mo kung paano ka matututo. Also, metacognition refers to higher order thinking, which involves active awareness and control over the cognitive processes engaged in learning. So the word metacognition is coined by John Flavel. So according to John Flavel, understanding and control of their cognitive processes, learners think about their own thinking processes and choose learning strategies that are appropriate for a specific task. So John Flavel further divided metacognition into three categories of metacognitive knowledge. So when we say metacognitive knowledge, guys, it refers to acquired knowledge about cognitive processes, knowledge that can be used to control cognitive processes. So what are these three categories? First one is the person variables, task variables, and the strategy variables. Pag-usapan naman natin yung person variables. Pag sinabi nating person variables, it includes how one views himself as a learner and thinker. Also, it refers to knowledge about how human beings learn and process information, as well as individual knowledge of one's own learning processes. For example, you may be aware that you study more effectively if you study very early sa umaga, di ba? Than late in the evening. And that you work better in a quiet library rather than at home where there are a lot of things that make it hard for you to focus and concentrate kasi nga minsan mas pipiliin nating mag-aral doon na lang sa school or sa library kasi pag nasa bahay tayo, minsan maribok, di ba? Or grabing sugo. Like for example, ginsugo si Boy pag bakal sa bitchin, imbis na nag-memorize siya or nag-aaral siya, so, nawawala yung focus. So yun, yan yung tinatawag nating person variable. That's under the first category. Person variable, ikaw as the learner and the thinker. Sabihin mo, task variables. Pakiulit. Again, task variables. So pag sinabi nating task variables, it includes knowledge about the nature of the tasks. Again, the nature of the tasks, as well as the type of processing that demands that it will place upon the individual. So again, yung nature ng task ng person at yung demand ng effort na kailangan ibigay. So it is about knowing what exactly needs to be accomplished, gauging its difficulty, and knowing the kind of effort it will demand from you. So again, nature of the task, and kumbaga identifying what is the task, and also what to accomplish, and gauging how many times or gaano ba katagal at gaano ba siya kahirap, di ba? So yun. For example, um, you may be aware that it take more time for you to read and comprehend a book in educational philosophy than reading a pocketbook, di ba? So, with that, halimbawa, mas nahihirapan tayong magbasa ng textbook compared sa pocketbook kasi alam ko na kayo mostly sa inyo, lalo na sa girls, ang bilis-bilis magbasa ng pocketbook. Pero to admit minsan, nahihirapan tayong magbasa ng educational books. Like, hindi agad natin nagigets. Pero pag pocketbook, alam na natin, like, ang bilis nating makagets or etc. So, that's an example of task variables. Knowing how to read and comprehend a book. So, kung kailangan na ulitin, uulitin mo yun because you are going to know how much effort it demands you. So, yun. And the third category is the strategy variables. Pag sinabi nating strategy variables, it involves awareness of the strategy that you are using to learn a topic and evaluating whether this strategy is effective or not. So, halimbawa, if you think your strategy is not working, then you may think of various strategies and try out one to see if it will help you learn better. For example, diba, for myself, before, akala ko, I will learn effectively if I'm going to listen music. Pero ang ending, nagparkanta na lang ako. So I think of another way or another strategy. So, ang effective pala sa akin is humarap sa isang wall, empty wall or like white wall. Yan yung palagi yung doon ako nakaharap together with my reviewer. So, yun yung strategy ko in studying. So again, that is an example of strategy variable. That's the strategy that you are using to learn. So, dito na din naman pumapasok sa strategy variable ang meta-memory. Sabihin mo meta-memory. Say it again. Also, meta-attention. Say it again. So, pag sinabi po natin meta-memory, that is the knowledge we have about how memory works and or your awareness of the memory strategy that works best for you. Again, your awareness of a specific strategy that works for you. So, meta memory, yung mga strategies na iniisip mo, halimbawa, yung example yung sa akin kanina, na effective pala sa akin yung humarap sa wall, or also kumain ng chocolates. Ganun. So that's a kind of meta memory. Your awareness of the memory strategies that works best for you. So pag sinabi naman natin meta-attention, ang meta-attention is the awareness. Yung awareness mo of specific strategies so that you can keep your attention focused on the topic or task at hand. Again, meta-attention is yung awareness na binibigay mo to stay focused on a certain or a specific strategies to be focused on a specific task at hand. So again, meta-attention, awareness of strategies that works best for you, and meta-memory is the attention that you are giving to give focus on what is the task at hand. So, okay. So, in line with the metacognition of John Flavel, we have here another person who is Omrod. Umrod include the following in practice of metacognition. So, una, knowing the limits of one's own learning and memory capabilities. Also, sabi ni Omrod, knowing what learning tasks one can realistically accomplish within a certain amount of time. So may oras. Knowing which learning strategies are effective and also which are not. And also planning. Planning an approach to a learning task that is likely to be successful. So it's always important for us to plan ahead. Also, monitoring, using effective learning strategies to process and learn new materials, and monitoring one's own knowledge and comprehension, as well as using effective strategies for retrieval of previously stored information. We have here another, which is UWIT, and UWIT believes that metacognition includes the ability to ask and answer these following types of question. Uh, if sabi niya, if you can answer and can ask this to yourself, then you are using metacognition. For example, what do I know about this subject, this topic or issue? Also, do I know what do I need to know? Do I know where I can get some information or knowledge? Also, how much time will I need to learn this? And what are some strategies and tactics that I can use to learn this? Did I understand what I just heard, read, or saw? How will I know if I am learning at an appropriate rate? And how can I spot an error if I am, what is this? Bigla nawala yung slide. Okay. How can I spot an error if I make one? So yan. And the last one is, how should I revise my plan if it is not working to my expectation or expectations and satisfaction or satisfactions? So ito, to further understand the connection of the three categories of metacognitive knowledge, I have an example. I know that I have more difficulty with my science assignments than English and find Araling Panlipunan easier. So, I will do my homework in science first, then language arts, then Araling Panlipunan. So, dito, I know that so yung person, so yung learner or thinker, di ba? Pag sinabi natin person variable, the thinker or the learner. So I, the person, have more difficulty with my science assignments than English and AP. So that is the task variable. The nature of the task. So difficulty in science assignments than English and AP. So that's the task. Also, masunod sa task is strategy. So, maisip ka na sa strategy. Kaya ang imo task didi is difficulty with science than English and AP. So, ang strategy variable niya is to do the homework in science first. And sa masunod is ang language arts. Kag ang AP, ang ipapalas niya kay amon pinakang nasayunan niya. So, he is going to give more time dito sa science subject. Kasi again, task variables, the effort that it demands para matapos mo ang certain task. Di ba kasama yan sa task variables? So, yun. So, naging strategy doon, yung strategy that works better or works best in you. So yun, I hope na gets nyo yun. So later, papasok ako to entertain your questions and to further process everything. So, see you.